Hi, I wanted to show a cool way to make sure that you can always see which swim lane your shape is in Lucid. So as you can see here, when I hover over the center of a shape, it's actually telling me that it is in a specific swim lane. And when I move it, it is smart enough to figure out that it has been moved and that it is in a specific lane. So how do we do this? Well, I added a conditional formatting rule. And what I did was I created a rule. I made sure that it was applied to every shape, by the way, which you can always do that over here and do apply to all if you accidentally make it on one shape, which I do all the time. And what you can do is set the condition to a formula. And then what you want to do is just check that it's contained by any swim lane. So that's how we're actually going to activate this. And the formula for that is to do contained by, and then to pass in this modifier for swim lane. So we're just checking, like, is it in a swim lane at all? And that is going to give us a list. And then we're going to count that list and just make sure that it's greater than 0. Because if something is outside of the swim lane, then we actually don't really care about it. So on hover, it's not going to show anything in this case. Okay, so that's our condition. And then formatting is how we're going to accomplish the other piece. So the way to do this is to add an icon. You want it to not be on shape style, but on icons. I typically choose then icon library. And then the other thing I like to do is just choose one of these dots because all I'm going to do is make it invisible. So give it no fill color. Once I've done that, I do turn on the custom hover text. This actually allows me to type whatever I want here, like sorting hat. And anytime that I type that, it basically saves it as part of the message. So what I can do is I can write whatever message I want. In this case, I've said in. And then I've used interpolated text. This is similar to something you find in JavaScript, and we have it in Lucid as well. It basically allows me to write a formula, like the kind I did here, and have it resolve within the text. So the most important thing that I've done here is I've said contained by, and I've passed in again $swim lane. So that's what's actually figuring out which swim lane is this in. Other thing that I've done is I've passed that in as being a list because it is going to return a list just in case something's in multiple swim lanes. And then I'm actually joining that list with this modifier. So the modifier I'm using to join it is comma space. And then I close that out and close my interpolated text. So how does it look when I type that? I say in, and the most important part is that contained by $swim lane, which just to show you what that would look like if I didn't do anything else, it would show me the list basically of lanes that it's in. And so that is the reason that I wrap this in a join, and that becomes my first argument. And my second argument is comma space, which I put in quotes because it's a string, and then I close the join. And that is how we are getting that list there. Whoops, I got to save it. There we go. So it's saying in Hufflepuff in this case. All right, so that is how we are able to join those things. And then the final thing I do, the default positioning is the top corner. I like to put it in the center because that just ensures that when I hover over the center of a shape, I will see which swim lane it's in. So why is that useful? Well, if I've scrolled all the way down and I've got a really large process map here, oops, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. Then when I hover over this, I'm actually going to still see that this is in a specific lane, even though I can't see the top of my swim lane or the left-hand side or the right-hand side or however I'm scrolling around. So it's a really helpful way to be able to label your shapes and be aware of which lane they're in, even when you can't see the titles of the lanes. Thanks.